Good evening. Hello, friends, and welcome once again to another episode of Driftin' and Driftin'. I'm Reverend Billy C. Wirtz, your host, and it is my extreme pleasure to welcome one of my best friends, a great musician, a great entertainer, and just an all-around cool guy, Victor Wainwright. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good, Uncle Billy. How are you doing?
I'm fine. This is great. When we first started doing these Zoom interviews, we started talking about people, and I think it was somewhere within about what, Scott, maybe the first 10 seconds, I'm going, I need to talk to Victor. We got to do Victor. So at any rate, it's really good to see you, and you're looking well.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. I've been listening to these, and I've really been enjoying them. I think they're a great thing.
Well, it gives folks a chance to see behind, we have our little veil. It's just almost like wrestling, we have our gimmick, the thing that they see on stage, but then there's a whole other side to it, and it lets you know how this whole thing evolved. And so take us back a little bit. I mean, I know parts of this story, but take us back a little bit, high school years, when this first started,
okay,
or when you first started playing music, when the whole thing started just kind of evolving.
Yeah, well, exactly. But a lot of people don't know that my grandfather really introduced me to the world of roots music, along with my dad. My dad played any instrument that was needed in my grandpa's band at the time. And by the time I was born and was getting raised up in the music, I was carrying amplifiers and piddling around a little bit, but I was never quite good enough to play on the main stage with them. They'd bring me up here and there and get a big applause, but never could quite get it together until about the high school time period. Like you said, right around that time period, it sort of clicked for me. I was able to really follow my grandfather, my dad on the piano. My dad got me a piano for Christmas that allowed my grandfather to play the keys, and it would record and light up above the key where he had played,
cool.
and I could slow it down. And
Sure.
so that was the first time, I'm not the greatest. I have an ear. That's the way I play, but I'm not the greatest ear player. For me, learning and watching his hands, being a visual learner, it really helped me a lot. And then being able to see the keys light up, man, it really clicked for me. And at that moment for it, I was playing with him and my dad any chance I could get.
And you should let people know that your grandfather is not some Grandpa Jones looking kind of, this guy, he looked like Jerry Lee Lewis. He wore Hawaiian shirts. He smoked cigarettes. He was a cat daddy. I mean, Jesse he was the stuff, man. I mean, talk about being in your DNA. Man. I mean, oh my God. Oh,
he definitely pulled all the air out of the room. All eyes were on him wherever he entered a room or came in. Everybody was paying attention to him, and he just had one of those presence.
And he knew how to bring this music to life, and he taught you that. That's the whole thing. Is it's more than just the music; it's the whole energy thing behind it. So,
absolutely.
So you went to military school in high school?
Yeah, I did. I went to Benedictine military school, and then shortly after, my parents and grandpa, as the timeline is going on, they were encouraging me to get a college degree because they knew how hard it was being musicians in Savannah, Georgia. Making a living playing music was extremely hard, as you know, and they afforded me this opportunity, my mom and my dad and my family. So they said, pick something. I said, air traffic control. I guess I was being stubborn or whatever. I didn't think too much about it. I said air traffic control, and off they sent me to Daytona Beach, Florida, which was only one of the only schools where you can learn to be an air traffic controller. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Tell us about air traffic controller school.
I got a lot of friends in Daytona Beach that are very connected to Embry-Riddle, and I do really remember fondly my time studying to be an air traffic controller. I guess it wasn't until later when I got to Memphis that I learned that it really wasn't for me. And in college, I seemed to do all right, and I was feeling good about it. Most of my time was spent out playing music and finding music in and around Daytona Beach and the roots music scene there, where I met you. But air traffic control, it was almost like my backup. It always kind of was my backup. My parents wanted it as I think they even knew it was a backup.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
An expensive backup.
Yes, it was. I think my dad jokingly my dad, he made me promise that I would land at least one plane. By the time I came to Memphis, Tennessee, he said, son, just land one plane if you can. He goes, but he has introduced me on stage. My dad's not afraid to take the microphone either. He takes after his dad, but he has introduced me on stage several times early on, especially as the $80,000 keyboard player.
That's great. So when did you start playing in bands? When did you start deciding, when did that happen?
In Savannah, Georgia, right around the time period where I was going through high school, my freshman year of college, I met a fellow named Eric Culberson. He owned a club in Savannah, Georgia at the time, Savannah Blues Club. And he let me play with him. And it was kind of an odd connection because he also had a connection with the Florida blues scene with King Snake Records and all.
Right.
And it all was getting connected for me by chance that I was going to college in Daytona Beach and that he was in Savannah, owned in Savannah Blues. And so I played with him. It was some of my first band stuff with a fellow named Sean Rounds and a band in his club who also now lives in Florida, Sean Rounds. He and I had a band together. And then when I got to Daytona Beach, I started meeting other people and wanted to play more in a band setting.
So if you had somebody turn the situation around and one of your friends from Embry-Riddle has a kid who's showing some promise and is listening to the music that we listen to and is interested, what's some advice, some hard-learned advice from your perspective that you would give to a young man like that was wanting to make a career in the business?
I would say that, first and foremost, you got to find people that inspire you and that you can learn from. That's one of the most important things, in my opinion, starting off is find a mentor, find someone. And I mentor a few people. I know you have. You need to find someone that can really show you exactly what it's about. And then go to a lot of live performances, of course, soak that in. But really, I'm all about the torch really getting passed along to someone else. And in order for that to happen, I think it needs to be hands-on. And I try to do that stuff, whether it's through the Pine Top Perkins camp, summer camp with the kids or through lessons or whatever else, showing somebody what it is and why it's the intention behind the notes that is more important than the notes is a lot harder to say than it is easy to explain. It's a lot easier to just show, and then let someone feel it. And then when they have a connection and then I can encourage them and then I feel that they have it, I'll encourage them to chase their dreams all the way up the mountain,
Aside from your grandfather, who was the first roots player that really turned your head around?
Probably Jerry Lee Lewis. I went, one of the first concerts I ever saw was Jerry Lee Lewis. My dad took me to see a Jerry Lee Lewis concert. I was on his shoulders when we watched the Knights of Old Columbus show in Savannah, Georgia. He killed it. And then I understood the connection. I understood why my grandfather was so connected with Jerry Lee and that style of American roots music, the genuine rock and roll, boogie piano.
So
nothing else quite like it.
You've been making and I know what I want to. So you're playing part-time. You're going to Embry-Riddle. Things are going along. You and I met. We started doing some work together. What for you was the turning point when you said, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna see if I can do this.
That didn't happen for me. There was two things that happened that made that a reality for me. One was getting to go on the road with you and you introducing me to a world that I didn't know existed outside of Daytona Beach. I hadn't toured before I started going out with you. So I had started to understand, hey, there's these places all over, not just in Florida. Now I'm in Canada. Now you're bringing me to Ottawa. I'm seeing a bigger and bigger and bigger world, which can be overwhelming for someone just starting out. But it also, for someone like me, man, it just ignites me and I just want to go. I think you saw my eyes and my face more than a few times stepping out in front of certain crowds, But it was also the response that we were getting. Of course, me being under your tutorage at the time, especially, but just the crowd response we were getting was so encouraging and it filled me up with so much motivation. I just wanted to go for it and really go. The other thing was my dad took me to a B.B. King concert in Jacksonville, Florida. And it was right around the same period, right before I met you, where I went to see a B.B. King concert. And that really changed my perspective of pretty much everything. My view of roots music started to turn and I became a lot more interested in blues music in particular and the roots of that. And of course, studying that. But BB in particular, that warm invitation that he had reminded me of my grandfather and how he when he came on stage, it was always this hospitality where he was just always inviting, and you always felt a part of his show and a part of just, you felt like his friend, like you had
He could
known
make
him.
that. BB King could take a room full of 2,000 people and make it feel like you were sitting right with us in the living room.
Yes, he could.
He knew how
And
to.
he made you feel a part of a real
room
community.
small. Yeah.
Yes, he made the room
Right.
very small and made you feel like you were part of the living room. You were very much part of a real community. And that's when I got a sense of a blues community and blues societies. And I wanted to learn more about that and be more involved.
Terrific. Okay. And so what's of now that you've been doing this for a while, what do you enjoy most about it? I think you might have just answered that, but what do you enjoy most about doing this? I mean, it's a messed up way to make a living at its best, you know, but
I enjoy the crowds, man. I enjoy people. I enjoy entertaining people from stage in particular. I enjoy coming out and seeing people's faces and being able to tell a story, both literally and with the music, that helps and guides people through an evening to where I could take them emotionally from one place and leave them hopefully in a better place.
absolutely.
And for me, that's incredibly rewarding. I've never found something nearly as rewarding as that in my whole life. And that's definitely the thing that I want to keep doing.
What do you find to be the opposite, the most challenging?
The most challenging part of making this a living would definitely be the literal part of touring and everything that encompasses. I mean, that's a long story, but touring is often very difficult. Sleeping in strange beds, scheduling, all the work that goes into everything we do that's not standing on stage for that 90 minutes playing our show. This job is continual outside of that full time. It's a 24/7 job that takes a lot of, you're doing interviews, answering emails, and doing all the things that come with being a professional musician. A lot of people don't really know what we do, but it's a tremendous amount.
Absolutely. And when you're a personality, when you're the entertainer that the energy is focused on, you're pretty much, if you're outside your room, if you're outside the van, you're on, you know, and
That's
people
right.
expect you to be on, even when you have a best, you know. That's why I talked to, we'll talk about the blues cruise in a minute, but the first thing I told you was, if you're on that cruise, if you step outside that room, you know, you're in the spotlight. So,
oh yeah, it's time.
and well, listen, heck, we just go ahead and talk about that now. Tell us, if I remember correctly, we had been working together, and I know that you went ahead and did some solo work, and I think that was at the point that I called Roger, and you played like a castaway party or something like that down there.
Oh yeah. The very first things I did after you contacted Roger, we were working together, and then right after that time period, I had done some stuff with the Wild Roots and with Stephen Dees, but the stuff that that I went to, the castaway party, was like a South Florida Blues Society, right? It was a Blues Society sail away party, and it was the night before. Right. A big deal, man. I loved it. I played that with Billy Gibson from Memphis, Tennessee.
Sure.
And the next time I played it with Southern Hospitality. But either way, we got on the cruise shortly after that. I was playing my very first cruise. I was playing the piano bar. Yeah.
Tell me about the cruise. Tell me about tell me what the experience is like. Tell the folks out there the difference between. Tell them. I mean, is it just a bunch of gigs on a boat, or is it more than that?
No, man. It's a party. It's a 24/7. Just like you said, I'm there to entertain, but I'm also there because I enjoy the heck out of it. And I try to make it very evident I'm there for that week, and it's okay. I know that the people that come on that cruise, they're there to be right next to me. And we're going to be riding the same elevators, and we're going to be sitting next. I'm going to be having my lunch next to you, and we might go on the same excursions. We might go swimming. We might go snorkeling. We might come back and go swimming in the jacuzzi. You never know. That's part of the fun of it. I get access as well to fans that I've, for the most part, only see from a big stage, and they're far away. So on the cruise, I get to know people. I get to meet people and that are really big fans of mine and really big supporters of mine, and have brought me back on time after time again. So it's important for me, and something that I look forward to in a big, tremendous way, because I want to see that continue, and I want to keep building that and having that be an enriching part of my life.
Can you remember a couple of the highlights? Like you've done some jams with some incredible incredible people on there. Is there one or
Yeah,
two
I'm
that
like
you can just go, I can't believe I'm sitting here with fill in the blank?
well, there was one time in particular. Now, this is, I'll try to make it a little bit shorter of a story, but when I was growing up with my grandfather and my dad, learning to play piano, Jerry Lee, and I started to get into blues, I said, I want to learn more about blues.
Right.
I said, okay. They were letting me hear things like Jimmy Reed and on, just all the basics,
Right.
going all the way back, Meade Lux, everybody.
Sure.
One of the records my dad picked up was a record that he had heard a song on the radio. He went and bought the record and he played it for me. And I got hooked on it, man. There was a chick piano player, this girl piano player on there that was just tearing it up. And this fella introduced her as Honey Piazza. And she played a song called The Stinger. And I was like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. And I was like only 13, 14 years old. And I tried to learn to play this song. One of the coolest jams that I've ever been on the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise was the reunion of Rod Piazza and the Mighty Flyers, when I came up and talked to Honey Piazza about how much she influenced me and how much that song in particular influenced me. And she invited me up on stage to play that song with her. And I think that, to me, that was just, it was just so heavy. And such an incredible band. That was Alex Schultz, Jimmy Bott, all the greats, the Mighty Flyers, man. And just to play on stage with those cats, sharing with Honey, someone that influenced me so much as a young teenager, it was just awesome and hugely rewarding.
Wow. One of the things that is that goes along with the music business and goes along with the incessant travel, and when you finally do hit, you got to shoot them while they're flying, is the old saying. And so you know what it's like to be gone for a month and 6 weeks and 8 weeks, and it just, the minute you get home, they go, hey, I got another tour for you, and you're like, oh, and you're going, they're going to pay how much? Okay, well, okay. But along the way, to help you keep going, we develop crutches. Okay.
Oh yeah.
In my case, it was in the form of pills, and they almost took me down. We work what we do to get back on our feet. In your case, what was the crutch that you had to get past?
Well, my crux was definitely food. That was one of my biggest hurdles. Food, and in the beginning, cigarettes were really tough for me. You're in the van for 12, it could be upwards of 16 hours on some days. Okay, we need to drive from Memphis to some part of Canada. We're playing at a festival. It's great. I can't wait. But 16 hours is rough to be in a van. And now the next morning, you're going to drive 9 more. What happens is you're looking for something to do. Cigarettes fill the void. Food fills the void, and those sort of things change the chemistry of your brain. They're drugs. They're there to change,
Sure.
And it moves the chemistry around your brain, makes you feel a certain way. For me, food was very powerful. It made me feel, it's almost like it's the same as smoking a high-powered drug almost. I can have a certain type of food and I feel a very particular way. I feel good. I feel relaxed. Sometimes I can overeat and feel tired. But I got to the point of weighing, as you know, when I was with you, I weighed over 400 pounds. And I've made touring really, really hard, made it a lot harder than it needed to be.
How much have you lost altogether?
Probably close to 160 pounds altogether.
And that was with the keto diet? You were using the keto method?
It's been a long list of, it's been a long effort. I'll say that I've been an announcer from stage that I was losing weight for a long time,
Right.
But you couldn't tell that much. I was losing.
Sure.
When you weigh 420 pounds, when you lose 10 pounds, you can't tell,
Yeah.
But overall, eventually I learned more and more about it and got more and more control over it. Now I treat certain foods, especially foods that are high in sugar, almost like an allergy. I can't have it. I go to eat it, I won't stop. I mean, it's just that simple. I know that my brain says, don't do that. You're just not, it's going to be so good that you're not going to stop. And that, it sounds silly, but food is that way for me. And I just try to control it and say, hey, and now, years now down the road and forever, everything's about moderation. But for me, truly, I do treat it like an allergy and I just stay away from it. I've been diabetic in the past. I'm not anymore, thank God. But that sort of approach to food where I stay away from candy and chips and pasta just works for me. So
you have an exercise program as well?
I try to walk 40 minutes every day. I go to, right now with COVID, I'm a little more wary of the gym, but I still
Mhm.
try to go, and I stay away from people, and I wear my mask, and I wipe down things, and I just do 40 minutes and I get out. Or if the day's nice, I do 40 minutes out, walk with a dog, or I try to be active, at least 40. And that's worked for me. It's helped
Sure.
me a tremendous amount. And I've been the same weight now for probably a year.
Mhm.
But now it's just about trying to stay cool
Out of
and stay
sight.
level.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know that for me, it was a matter of I have never completely been what would be called drug free. It's a matter of finding the right drugs, as it were, and in my case, it's, prescription, but it happens to be laws that changed. And I know that, for me, I have been pretty open about the fact that cannabis actually helped me get off those pills and stay off of them. And,
Yeah.
it's, I think they're finding a lot of new things. I didn't mean to divert too far into that area, but
Oh, no, no. I'm a big fan of cannabis and all the health benefits that studies have shown that that's really helping people a whole lot. It helps me too. I think CBD is a great thing that people are finding. It's a lot better than, hey, you and I both. I've been on a long list of subscription drugs in my past, including ones that are supposed to help my nerves and help
right.
me sleep better and everything else. You get addicted to those, and then you can't do anything worth a dang. That the other stuff doesn't do that to me and doesn't do that to anyone else. I don't think it doesn't prevent me from getting on stage and having a big show and a great
Sure.
time. It doesn't do any of those things. There's no come down or
Mhm.
anything like that. It's just I think it's a better alternative.
Great. So tell me how you're dealing with COVID.
Dealing with COVID, I'm trying to be as creative as possible. I had a record that we released, but I haven't been able to tour behind it. I've had to be just extra creative on how to stay out there on the scene a little bit and continue to entertain people. That's so important to me that without doing that, I just don't feel right. So I got to keep doing something.
What do you do? Are you doing some kind of a TV show or something as well? A cooking thing?
I was doing late night with Wainwright, which was a live show, and I was
Uh-huh.
doing a recording quality material and presenting it live like a live DJ, and then doing some playing live as well. But Facebook
Okay.
changed the rules up on that, so I can't do it the same way anymore. So now it's just late night with Wainwright Productions, and we release high quality videos. And then I'm doing the cooking show, which is Big Bite with Wainwright, which is just a whole nother thing I've discovered. Through dieting and stuff, I've learned a lot about how to cook for myself. I don't eat out hardly at all. I
Hmm.
cook, and starting to capture that and understand, hey, that's pretty entertaining too, especially during this time. I have some friends that, that got the
Sure.
roommates, whatever, cook, and let's film it and put it out there. We'll have some fun with it.
Wow. That's great. That's great. What do you consider sitting around and just looking at the big picture in general? What do you consider your biggest success? What are you proudest of? And
you
it
know,
could be
I think
personal or business or both.
I think we were just on the topic, man. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is getting control of something that it was literally weighing me down and that was going to end my time here way, way shorter than it would otherwise. I
Hmm.
think that's got to be my biggest accomplishment. And just sitting here thinking about it, I could talk about music stuff, and it's just not as important as getting that under control, and then hopefully getting it behind me, at least a big portion of it.
Did
And
you do any kind of? I'm really, this is really good information because there's people out there that can really benefit from this. Um, did you do any kind of support group with it at all, or any kind of regular counseling?
I did in the past. There's been several things when it comes to addictions. When you talk about food or cigarettes, or whether you're on
Sure.
certain pills like
Hmm.
Xanax or anything like that, it was for me. The therapy was the same. If I was seeking help with it, um, the steps were all very similar on
Right.
how to help myself, and I did. I checked into those sort of programs. I got some help, and that was really the catalyst that helped me turn the page on and start a journey uh, in a better direction. Was getting basically my doctor coming in and saying, look, the party's over, and that sort of
Hmm.
way, and me going, okay, I actually really believe you right now, because of the way I feel. And then seeking help, and then taking a step forward in that regard. um, but yeah, man, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, you get to be you got to eat. That's the issue with being, so uh, a food addict. Basically, you got to eat. So it's a challenge. You got to learn. At that point, it's all about learning and learning how to cook for yourself, learning about nutrition, and learning about what you're doing. And it's a day by day thing, but it's something that I'm very proud of having accomplished, and I'm thankful for it.
Okay. So anything that you looking back on it, you wish maybe you had a second chance at it, or you could have maybe done it a little bit different?
That's a good question. I would probably stick to the same theme and say that if there's any regrets I have, it would be that I didn't get control of my weight a little bit sooner. I know that touring, I missed out on some opportunities, on some big opportunities, because, for example, I literally could not fly coach. I had to fly business class. I couldn't fit in a coach seat. So I missed out on some early touring opportunities. I missed out on playing with a couple people that I really wish that I had made it work and got out there and played them, because now they're gone. And I look back on those situations and I have some regrets, but again, I feel like, in the same token, having control of it, there's some of my biggest accomplishments too. So I'm okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Fun question. If you could open up for anybody, anytime, anybody, anywhere, history, they don't have to be alive. Who would be somebody you would just, like?
I'd like to open up for geez, man, there's so many that are just racing through my mind right now. Yeah, man. I mean, I would love to go back and open up for some of the great guys like Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Ray Charles would probably, here's the thing about when you say open up, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty humble dude, man. I don't think that when I think about opening up, my mind immediately relates to, I cannot open up for Ray Charles.
Right.
I'm not ready.
No.
Give me many more years.
Right, yeah.
I get scared of that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, dream come true, being sharing the same room with Ray Charles would have been unbelievable.
Sure.
Hey, that's another. Hey, you want to talk about a tiny regret?
Sure.
That's a big regret of mine, is not having seen Ray Charles. I never got to see Ray Charles live, man. And that was such a big one for me. I missed out. I never forget where I was, freshman in college, riding down Daytona Beach when it came over the radio. But man,
yeah.
Missed that.
I actually, I got to work with her steel player way on, but I always wished I could have opened for Patsy Cline.
Oh man.
Dr. John told me, he said, man, that woman could sing. He worked with her for a tour.
No kidding.
And he said she was part of one of the boys. She could out drink, out cuss. She told the nastiest jokes of anybody in the band. He said, but man, she got on stage and that she just had that, how it is, just that natural soul. You hear, you've been around this business long enough that you hear guys and you just look at them and you go, where did that come from? So listen, this has really, really been great. How do you want to be remembered when people look back and they say, Victor Wainwright?
I think I want to live up to the idea of being a guy that when you come to see me, you feel welcomed. And that's, I could leave it right there, really.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So tell us real quick, what's next for you as soon as you get, hopefully the COVID thing will run its course. And then what are you going to, you're going to go back to touring again?
Yeah, I hope so. We have a lot of reschedules. We had a full calendar when this all went down. So it's going to be coming up on a year, it looks like, before I'm really back out there. But the reschedules will start coming in. I mean, we have the stuff that we had in March and April and May, and festivals have postponed and rescheduled for 2021. Right. So hopefully, we have some good news with the vaccine. I've been staying positive this whole time. I think the whole thing's been a mental stamina game. Right. A mental stamina check for all of us, staying positive has been a challenge, but staying creative has been the way I've been able to do it. And I'm looking forward to getting back out, man.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so very much. You're going to do a little track for us. We're going to roll out here, but then you're going to do a little something after we take off. I would like to say that I will be seeing you real soon, because we're going to be saying goodbye to a good friend of ours, Mr. Frank Scrap Iron Robinson has left us. And we like to dedicate the interview tonight to his memory and all the good times he brought us, on the Blues Cruise. And there was a blues man. There was he was the real deal. And
Yep,
I got
and
some
there's a lot of
stories.
stories.
Oh, I got some new ones for you. You're gonna love.
Okay,
Listen, man,
all right.
all
I
my
look forward
love,
to
my
it.
brother. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you this weekend. Thanks so much,
All right.
man.
Thanks so
Good
much.
night. Now, this is Reverend
night.
Billy Wirtz saying thanks to my guest, Mr. Victor Wainwright. Thanks, Scotty, for taking care of everything. I'm Reverend Billy, and we'll see you the next time around right here on Driftin' and Driftin'. Good night, everybody.
All right, Billy, man, that was too much fun, brother. Hey, I sure do miss all of y'all. I'd love to play you some blues music real quick before saying goodbye. Said that love and money is two things I never known. Got that right.